The stadium was filled with thousands of voices calling one name: Shohei. Fans stood behind barriers hoping for a moment they could remember forever. Some wanted an autograph. Some wanted a picture. Some simply wanted to say they had been close enough to see one of baseball's greatest players in person. But among all those voices was one young child whose voice was almost impossible to hear. He was not pushing forward. He was not demanding attention. He was simply calling Ohtani's name with the hope that his hero would notice him. For that child, this was not just another day at a baseball stadium. This was a dream of meeting the player he admired, a dream of having one small moment that he could tell people about for years. But when Ohtani walked past without stopping, the child believed the opportunity was gone. And nobody expected what happened only seconds later. Shohei Ohtani has become much more than a baseball player. To millions of fans around the world, he represents something bigger than home runs, awards, or records. His journey from Japan to Major League Baseball has inspired people because of the dedication behind his success. Young fans especially look at Ohtani differently. They do not only see statistics, they see possibility. They see someone who worked for his dreams, someone who faced enormous pressure, someone who proved that limits can be challenged. That is why moments with Ohtani mean so much to children. For adults, meeting a superstar may be exciting. For a child, it can feel almost impossible. The player they watch on television suddenly becomes a real person standing only a few feet away. The child in this moment had been waiting patiently. He knew there would be many fans around. He knew Ohtani could not stop for everyone, but he still hoped that somehow, just for a few seconds, his hero would notice him. He called his name. He waited. He tried to make himself visible. But the crowd was enormous. There were cameras everywhere. There were countless fans hoping for the same thing. And for a moment, it seemed like his voice disappeared among thousands of others. Ohtani continued moving forward. He had responsibilities. He had teammates waiting. He had a schedule that moved quickly. And realistically, even the most generous athletes cannot stop every single time someone calls their name. The child understood that. But understanding something does not mean it does not hurt. The excitement on his face slowly changed. The hope he had moments earlier began to disappear. He lowered his voice. He lowered whatever he was holding. And he accepted that maybe this would simply be a day where he saw Ohtani from a distance. His family watching nearby noticed the change immediately. They knew how much the moment meant. They knew how excited he had been before seeing Ohtani. They knew he was not expecting anything huge. He did not need a long conversation. He did not need a special gift. He only wanted to know that his favorite player saw him. But then something unexpected happened. After walking away, Ohtani slowed down. For a moment, nobody understood why. The people around him continued watching. The child looked up, and then Ohtani turned around. That single movement changed everything, because it showed that something had caught his attention. Maybe it was the child's voice. Maybe it was the expression on his face. Maybe it was the way the child was standing quietly while everyone else was trying to be noticed. Whatever the reason, Ohtani decided not to continue walking. He decided to return, and the people nearby immediately realized something special was happening. The child who thought his chance was gone suddenly saw the person he admired walking back toward him. The disappointment disappeared. The surprise appeared. For a few seconds, the noise of the crowd seemed to fade away. It was no longer about thousands of fans. It was about one child and one moment. That is what made the situation meaningful. Ohtani could have continued. Nobody would have blamed him. Nobody would have questioned it. Superstar athletes constantly face impossible expectations. They are expected to perform, prepare, travel, and handle attention from countless people every day. But moments like this reveal the choices they make when nobody forces them. Ohtani chose to turn around. He chose to give a few more seconds. He chose to make one young fan feel important. When he reached the child, the entire mood changed. The nervousness that had replaced excitement began disappearing. The child who had been 2 quiet moments earlier suddenly had the attention of his hero. Ohtani did not rush. He did not make the moment feel like a simple obligation. He took the time to acknowledge him. He smiled. He connected. And that was the part everyone around them remembered. Because the biggest stars are often remembered for their biggest achievements. The home runs, the awards, the historic performances. But sometimes, the moments that reveal the most about a person happen away from the scoreboard. They happen when someone has the opportunity to walk away and chooses not to. The child had called Ohtani's name hoping for a small moment. He thought he had missed his chance. Instead, Shohei Ohtani gave him a memory he would never forget. But the most emotional part of the story was still coming, because after the interaction ended, the child's family explained why those few seconds meant much more than anyone watching could understand. After Shohei Ohtani returned to the young fan, the entire meaning of the moment changed. What started as a child simply calling his hero's name became something much bigger. The child did not just receive attention from a famous baseball player. He experienced a moment that showed him that his voice mattered. For many people watching from a distance, it may have looked like a simple interaction. A player stopped. A fan smiled. A few seconds passed. Then everyone moved on. But for the child and his family, it was something completely different. They understood that these small moments are often the ones people remember forever. The family had watched the child's excitement slowly turn into disappointment. They saw him realize that Ohtani might not notice him. They saw him accept that the moment he had imagined might never happen. Then they watched everything change. They watched Ohtani turn around. They watched their child's expression change. They watched a disappointing memory transform into a special one. That is the power of athletes who understand their influence. For Shohei Ohtani, returning may have only taken a few extra seconds. But for that child, those seconds became a story he could carry for the rest of his life. This is something many people forget about professional athletes. Their actions reach far beyond the field. A home run may be remembered by fans for a season. A championship may be remembered for years. But a personal moment with a hero can stay with someone forever. Especially for children. Children do not always remember statistics. They remember feelings. They remember the person who made them smile. They remember the person who made them feel special. They remember the person who showed them kindness when they least expected it. That is why moments like this matter so much. Shohei Ohtani has built his career through incredible achievements. He has changed how people view baseball. He has shown that a player can dominate in multiple ways and compete at a level that few athletes have ever reached. But his impact is not only created by what happens during games. It is also created by what happens when the cameras are not focused on the scoreboard. The way he treats people, the way he handles pressure, the way he respects fans. These moments reveal another side of greatness. Talent can make someone famous, but character determines how people remember them. Throughout his career, Ohtani has developed a reputation for being humble and respectful. He rarely creates unnecessary attention around himself. He allows his performance to speak, but he also understands the responsibility that comes with being a role model. Young fans do not only watch athletes. They learn from them. They copy their attitude. They follow their journey. And when they see someone like Ohtani showing patience and kindness, it creates an example that extends beyond baseball. The child in this story did not just meet a player. He met someone who represented the values he admired. Hard work, respect, humility, confidence. Those qualities are what make athletes truly memorable. The most interesting part about this moment is that Ohtani did not return because he had to. Nobody ordered him to stop. There was no rule requiring him to go back. There was no reward waiting. He made the decision himself. And that decision revealed the kind of person he is. Many people can be kind when it is convenient. True character appears when someone chooses kindness, even when they could easily move on. Ohtani had every reason to continue walking. He was busy. There were other fans. There were other responsibilities. But he recognized that one child was having an important moment, and he chose to make it better. That is why the family's reaction was so emotional. They did not just see their child meet Shohei Ohtani. They saw their child experience something positive during a moment when he felt disappointed. They saw confidence return. They saw happiness replace uncertainty. They saw a memory being created in real time. Years from now, the child may not remember every detail of the day. He may not remember the exact conversation. He may not remember everything that happened around him. But he will remember one thing. He called Ohtani's name. Ohtani heard him, and he came back. That is the part that makes this story powerful. Because greatness is often measured by numbers. How many home runs? How many awards? How many records? But human greatness is measured differently. How many people did you inspire? How many people did you make feel valued? How many moments did you create that someone will remember forever? Shohei Ohtani's career will always be remembered for his baseball achievements. The records, the historic performances, the unforgettable games. But moments like this show why people admire him beyond baseball. They show the person behind the superstar. The child who once stood quietly in a crowd calling his name received something more valuable than attention. He received a reminder that even in a stadium filled with thousands of people, one person can still be noticed. And sometimes, the smallest gestures create the biggest memories. Because true greatness is not only about being the best player when millions are watching. It is about being the best version of yourself when one person needs you. That is why this moment with Shohei Ohtani will stay with that young fan forever. Not because he met a baseball superstar, but because that superstar stopped, turned around, and showed him that he mattered. That is the end of the video. Share your thoughts on moments like this, and whether you believe true greatness is measured by achievements or by the way athletes treat their fans. Subscribe for more Shohei Ohtani stories, MLB moments, and inspiring sports stories from around the world.